your page is messy. Today's topic is all about prevention of aspiration pneumonia.
Before entering into the session, if you have not subscribed our channel, please subscribe our channel and do not forget to hit the bell icon to receive instant notifications. Let's get into the topic. These are few learning objectives we will be discussing in this session. What is aspiration pneumonia? The accidental inhalation of food, liquid, saliva, or vomit into the lung instead of the stomach, causing infection. When does this happen? This actually happens during eating, drinking, or vomiting. How dangerous is aspiration? It can block airways, can cause aspiration pneumonia, which leads to coughing, low oxygen, fever, and infection. And it is really dangerous for elderly, stroke, and unconscious patients. Let's see how swallowing works. Just remember a simple concept that during swallowing, breathing briefly stops, the epiglottis closes, and the food is safely directed into the esophagus. Let's see the process step by step. First, food enters the mouth. Then, tongue pushes food backwards. Next, epiglottis closes over the trachea and food goes into the esophagus. Thereby, air continues through trachea to lungs. Next, let's discuss who are at risk for aspiration pneumonia. First is altered consciousness. For example, stroke patients, head injury, seizure, and patients who are on sedation. Here, patient will not be able to swallow or cough properly. Next is patients with swallowing difficulty, that is dysphagia. Next is elderly patients who has weak swallowing muscles and poor gag reflex. Thereby, food easily enters into lungs. Next comes tube-fed patients. Patients who are on nasogastric or orogastric tube. In these cases, either incorrect position of the tube or placing patient in supine position might lead to risk for aspiration. Next comes ventilated patients. Patients who are on endotracheal tube might get the secretions pulled above the endotracheal cuff, which might lead to silent or micro-aspiration risk. Next category is sedated or postoperative patients. In such cases, patients have reduced reflexes and drowsiness where they cannot protect their airway, thereby leading to risk for aspiration. Next, let's discuss some of the common causes for aspiration pneumonia. First is supine feeding. Here, feeding a patient lying flat allows food or fluid to easily enter into the lungs. Next is poor oral hygiene, where bacteria from the mouth can be aspirated into the lungs and cause infection. Also, overfeeding the patient can increase regurgitation and risk of aspiration. The other cause is incorrect tube placement. If a tube is wrongly positioned, the feeding tube can deliver feed into the airway instead of the stomach. Next comes vomiting, where the stomach contents can flow back and be inhaled into the lungs. Next is in case of ventilated patients. If there is inadequate cough pressure in the ventilated patients, secretions might leak into the lungs, leading to aspiration. We have discussed this concept in one of our videos before, that is endotracheal cuff pressure, and the link is given in the description below. And the next common cause is pooling of secretions above the cuff. When the secretions are getting collected above the cuff, they can slip into the airway and cause silent aspiration. Now comes common signs of aspiration. The most common sign, as we all know, is coughing or choking during meals. Watery eyes or red face are signs of silent choking or straining. Other signs include wet or gurgly voice, which indicates fluid on the vocal cords, shortness of breath, drooling, fever after eating. Here comes prevention of aspiration pneumonia. The first thing is positioning. Make the patient sit upright, that is 90 degrees during feeding. If the patient is in bed, the head of the bed should be elevated between 30 to 45 degrees. Keep the patient upright for 30 minutes after meals. Never feed patient lying flat. Next is safe feeding practices. This include feeding the patient slowly, give small bites and sips, allow enough time to swallow. For alert patients with dysphagia, use the chin tuck technique, that is, chin to chest position, which narrows the airway opening and widens the esophagus. Stop feeding if the patient coughs. Next is food and liquid consistency. Use thickened liquids if ordered. Soft or pureed foods are used for swallowing difficulty. Avoid thin liquids if the patient is at risk for aspiration. Next important aspect of preventing aspiration pneumonia is oral care and mouth check. Check the patient's mouth for food pocketing. Food pocketing means food hiding in the cheeks or under the tongue. If it is not removed, it can slip into the airway later and can cause silent aspiration. Remove the leftover food after meals. Provide regular oral care. And for patients on dentures, make sure that the dentures are fit properly. Next comes tube feeding precautions. Verify the tube placement before feeding. Keep head elevated during feeding and check the gastric residual volume. Pause feedings during repositioning procedures, vomiting, or coughing. In case of ventilated patients, maintain adequate cuff pressure between 20 to 30 centimeter water. Check cuff pressure every shift. A low cuff pressure might lead to secretions getting leaked into lungs. Secretion management includes performing regular oral and endotracheal suctioning, using subglottic suctioning if available, and prevent pooling of secretions above the cuff. Now, what if aspiration occurs? Stop feeding immediately, sit patient upright, encourage coughing, suction if needed, and notify healthcare provider. So here you go with prevention of aspiration pneumonia. If you find this video useful, please like it, share it, and subscribe it. And do not forget to hit the bell icon to receive instant notifications. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.